Welcome to the Frederica Academy Coaches Show with head coach Brandon Derrick. Brought to you by Advanced Rehab, H&H Lifestyles, St. Simon Seafood, Urgent Med 1, Golf Cart Wholesale, Parker's, Jessup Furniture Outlet, Yates Astro, and by Locos. Now here is your host, the voice of the Frederica Academy Knights, John Wetzler.
Welcome to the Frederica Academy Coaches Show with head coach Brandon Derrick on the Bishop Media Sports Network. I'm John Wetzler, on location at Locos Grill and Pub, where we've been each and every week on Wednesday at 7 for the season. This segment of the Brandon Derrick Coaches Show is sponsored by Locos Grill and Pub, where we're at, Urgent Med 1, Advanced Rehab, St. Simon Seafood, H&H Lifestyles, Golf Cart Wholesale, Parker's, Jessup Furniture, and by Yates Astro. And now joining us for the head coach Brandon Derrick Coaches Show is head coach Brandon Derrick.
How are you?
Good. How are you, Coach?
Doing okay.
Well, Coach, we all had high hopes last week. We went to Pinewood, and first half was it was back and forth. We had some of the I think one of the most amazing catches that I've ever seen since Julio Jones caught the ball around the back of that guy, or perhaps some of the other recent amazing catches. Kind of gave us a boost. We thought we were in the ball game there going into the half, but Pinewood came out and they were just a little too much for us to handle.
It was a snowball effect, really, for us. I thought that we played really well defensively right there first quarter and midway through the second quarter. Defense was just playing phenomenal. I think they had the ball 4 times or 5 times in a row and had to punt 3 and out pretty much. 4 out of the first 5 times. Offensively, we struggled a little bit. And it's like I said the week before, up front, it was going to be one in the trenches, and we struggled with them up front. They're big, physical, and fast. Their linebackers are really good. The outside contained guys did a great job against us winning the edge. We didn't win the edge very well. I just thought, though, that the defense really kept us in it, and then we got up 6-0. You know, they got the ball back kind of midfield, third down, and I think it was 8, maybe 12. We called the blitz. Quarterback just barely got it off. Really, it was we slowed down and stopped because quarterback juked just a minute, and then he threw it deep, and just so happened the guy was behind us in the secondary, caught it. We got him at 5, and then it was 4 downs. They had to score it on from first and goal from 3, and it took them all 4 downs to get it in. I thought the defense, and it got to 7-6. And then we went back out and we had to punt, missed 2 tackles on the punt, and the guy got a great return back down to our 10 or whatever, and they scored again, made it 14-6, and I think we went back out on offense right there over the last few seconds, tried to go 2-minute, tried to go hurry up, probably a bad decision on my part, but I'm an aggressive kind of guy. We're gonna be on the attack more than we're gonna be conservative. I don't know if that's got anything to my nature of how I've been raised or whatever, but we're going to be aggressive, and we tried to make something happen. We fumbled the ball, and they scored with 15 seconds to go, and it's hard for us to recover right there. I thought at 14-6 probably we do a better job at the second half. We had our chances. We missed an interception on the 5 that might have got ran back, and
yeah, that was a goner.
Yeah, Chris gets it. He probably runs it back, and then it would have been 21-14, and they threw a perfect fade route on Jalen, who had the guy covered. I mean, one place he could catch it, and he put it right there. And Sean Katai, we ran a blitz. And Sean did a really good job on man-to-man getting over it. He was just one step behind the guy because of the route that they ran. He had one bad angle there, and the quarterback threw another perfect ball. And they picked up the blitz just enough for him to get it off. And they hit us on it. They big played us a couple times, and that pretty much took the wind out of ourselves. But I thought overall, going back watching the film again, there were some things that we needed to fix. But I thought the kids, at times we had chances, we just kind of squandered them. We wasn't aggressive at times. a very tough place to play at Pinewood. They're very good over there. That's probably why they're in the top 5 in the state, or third, or whatever they're ranked. They're undefeated. They were the runner-up last year. So, we knew going in we was about to play pretty much a near-flawless game. And we made mistakes, and it's one of those things that kind of came back to bite us in the butt, and it just kind of happened.
Well, this is the Frederica Academy Coaches Show with head coach Brandon Derrick on the Bishop Media Sports Network. Coach, I felt like we were in it, going into half, and I know that we had a lot of good reason to believe that we could play with them, and we were. But one thing that I noticed, first of all, as far as Pinewood was concerned, they were probably the most disciplined team that I've seen us play. And that includes Valwood. Valwood has talent, 2 and 3 deep, and Pinewood certainly had some very good talent. But the one thing I noticed about Pinewood was, their offensive line, technique-wise, their head was on the right side. They were making holes. They were moving out. We were doing a good job as well. But I think that they had some big old boys down there that were playing mistake-free football.
Yeah.
And really, whether we lost to them by 1 point or 25 points, bottom line is the game's over. But how does this affect this week coming up? What do we do now as far as dealing with the fact that we've got to win Friday night? We've got to win Friday night so we can put ourselves in a position to move on in the playoffs. What are you doing this week to sort of psychologically, learn from last week and focus on what we got to do this week?
It's like I told the parents, right after the game, and our little post-game huddle, it's over. So you got to go on, you got to prepare. I think that we've tried to go in and prepare just like we do every week. Take away their strengths. We've had a couple other psychological blows this week in practice with Dawson getting hurt and with the knee, and then Cameron the busted up hand. So the kids are trying to battle through a lot of that. We've moved a few people around. I think we've done an okay job. I just not seeing the enthusiasm that I like to see. I could jump around, yell and scream all I want, but that just be generating false enthusiasm. I think some of the seniors talked about it a little bit today. Offensively, I thought we looked pretty good the last couple of days, doing a few good changes. Defensively, we looked a little unsettled, not wrapping up real well, not playing very aggressive at times. Bulloch's another good football team. They're not as disciplined, like you said, as Pinewood. I don't think they're very good. But Pinewood, I knew watching them on film, they didn't take a wrong step. They don't take false steps. They do everything exactly what's supposed to be done. And, it's kind of where we're at right now with us versus Pinewood, and where we're at in our program at the stature of this is the 4th year, 5th year of the program, and you see teams like Pinewood and Bulloch and all them that's in their 35th year, and these kids, that's all they do. Pinewood, that's all they do is play football. That's it. That's the number one sport over there is to get after it in football. Coach Watson does a great job, and then with Bulloch, for us, it's just to try to regroup. I think our thing's going to be with us Friday night is if we can have some success early, I think that we're going to be okay. If we can get on the board early and move chains and get some success, a couple strikes here and there, and do some things right and get feeling good about it, I think we got a shot. But if it gets in one of those things and we have something a mistake and we let it continue to escalate, and get the snowball effect, kind of like happened against Pinewood, it could be another struggle.
Well, there will be more to come on the Brandon Derrick Coaches Show on the Bishop Media Sports Network. We're going to take a break in order to have a word from our sponsors.
It's time to get together with friends and family to enjoy great games, great food, and a great atmosphere at Loco's on St. Simon's Island. Loco's has something for everyone with their classic sandwiches, fresh salads, and specialty burgers. And Loco's award-winning wings, from traditional boneless or slow roasted, means it's time to get your wings on. With football season starting, don't forget to catch the game at Loco's too. Be sure to like Loco's on Facebook to keep up with the latest. Have your friends meet you at the Moose. Tired of waiting hours to get in and out of the ER, or can't get in to see your doctor? The wait is over. Urgent Med 1 is a fully functioning urgent care clinic with highly trained professionals, on-site x-ray and labs that will get you in, out, and on with life. Open weekdays 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and weekends 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. or sign in online with ZipPass. Located off exit 36B on Highway 341, look for that MASH Jeep with the big red cross out front, ERGENT Med 1. Drive a few minutes and save a few hours. That back won't stop aching or that knee won't stop throbbing? Your answer is Advanced Rehabilitation and their staff of professionals. Locations in Brunswick and on St. Simons for your convenience. Go to the place that is trusted by student athletes all over the Golden Isles as well as professional athletes. Advanced Rehabilitation specializes in neuro and orthopedics and will have you back in the game in no time. Find a clinic near you, physicaltherapygeorgia.com. H&H Lifestyles on St. Simons Island is proud to sponsor this broadcast of the Frederica Academy Knights 2015 football season. From first downs and touchdowns to kickoffs and playoffs, the H&H team will be cheering on the Frederica team. H&H Lifestyles, appliances, bedding, audio, video, electrical, and security. Located in Retreat Plaza on St. Simons Island. Go Knights! Fresh local seafood on St. Simons Island, St. Simons Seafood, located at 2463 Demery Road in the shops at Demery Plaza next to Loco's, has everything a seafood lover could want. Wild Georgia shrimp, crab cakes, flounder, you name it, and St. Simons Seafood has it. Seafood so fresh, it was swimming this morning. So stop into St. Simons Seafood and check them out on Facebook. St. Simons Seafood, the island's only fresh seafood market.
Welcome back to the Frederica Academy Coaches Show with head coach Brandon Derrick on the Bishop Media Sports Network. I am John Wetzler, here on location from Loco's Grill and Pub. This segment is brought to you by Loco's Grill and Pub, Urgent Med 1, Advanced Rehab, H&H Lifestyles, and St. Simons Seafood. Well, Coach, we've had a lot more success at home, I've noticed, than we've had on the road. So we've got sort of an ideal situation, assuming we're ready to play on Friday night. With Bulloch coming here, we've just seemed to have a lot more confidence, I think, playing at home.
I think that's got to do a little bit, friendly confines. Don't have to travel. You don't have to sit around and think about it. Part of that is we're there, kind of getting a routine. I think Friday, going to Pinewood, not in the routine, was out of school. Brought everybody in, tried to get the routine. We couldn't really get everybody in early like we wanted to. We were at teacher conferences. And then, we got everybody there. But I think Friday, at home, the home games, it just puts everybody at ease. Everybody feels a little more comfortable. That's a big thing. And they know that we're going to have a big crowd and everybody's going to be out there supporting them. So, it's one of those things. I think it's a psychological thing more than anything for our kids. Going in, I thought the game Friday night at Pinewood was probably pretty well called. Referees did a pretty good job. And, I thought that, we missed some opportunities. And then I think at home our kids thrive a little bit more in front of that home crowd and have a little more energy.
Yeah. Well, as my roommate in college used to say, 90% of this game is half mental. But as far as Bulloch is concerned, as we look to Bulloch, I know Pinewood was pretty well rounded, and offensively, defensively, I felt like our defense really played better than Pinewood did the first half. We really stymied them. Came out hard, but we had a lot of guys going both ways that didn't necessarily always, Jay Sean played both ways almost the whole game.
Yeah.
Had a really inspiring performance, I thought, as far as the way that he played so tough. He got the Atlantic National Bank Player of the Game. Not just because he performed so well, but just he was so tough and so obviously wincing in pain out there, and still performing, in between the whistles with 100%. How do you feel about as far as Bulloch offensively, defensively? How are we going to match up against them, or are they going to? What kind of offense are they running?
They're a triple
what can we
option.
expect?
They're not Georgia Tech triple option. They're going to be in the I. They're going to run the midline, dive veer, inside veer, sometimes outside veer. They can get in the spread stuff, double twins, spread you out a little bit, try to run a little bit of dive option at you. Really, for us, we got to be sound responsibility-wise, make sure that we got our guys. We want the guy taking a dive, guy scraping the quarterback. Got to rip through blocks. We got to do a good job playing downhill. Can't really fly upfield defensively, but we got to take care of our area and our assignment. It's more assignment football this week. It's going to be the little things in this one. We got to tackle well. There's going to be times we're going to put people on islands. One guy's going to have to make a play, and maybe this week we can. I feel like skill-wise, Pinewood might be a step quicker or two. Whereas I told everybody last week I felt like Pinewood and us were fairly equal skill-wise. We might have just a step, but I thought Pinewood was pretty good skill-wise, and they were. I feel like we might have a step a little bit on these guys with some speed, but you got to block them. If you don't block, it don't matter how much speed you got. At the end of the day, you got to control. You got to contain it up front and get the guys on the edge and do a good job on the perimeter. And that's kind of been our MO, is just getting on the perimeter. And if we don't block well on the perimeter, it's hard to get out there and get guys in space. So we've got to do a little bit better job. We've worked on that this week, blocking on the perimeter, getting the guys on the perimeter, and really just coming off the ball up front. Coach Burkett, that's been a big emphasis. Is we want to try to create the line of scrimmage and push them back a little bit, hopefully. But I think a lot of it's going to be angles and leverage and everything. We've been talking about it all week, so hopefully we can get to that point and execute.
Well, you are listening to the Brandon Derrick Coaches Show on the Bishop Media Sports Network. Last week was the first time that I've seen receivers that could run with Jalen and Chris. Jalen Simpson and Chris Myrick. That was the first time I've seen anybody really give them, and that includes anybody we played. That's the first time I've ever really seen anybody give them a run for their money. And I think a couple of times, one time in particular when I think Jalen allowed the pass to be made, he was actually responding because it was a busted play. He actually had kind of given up coverage to try to come and help contain, what he thought was going to be a run. And he still made up a tremendous amount of difference, between the guy who ended up making the touchdown pass there. But I still feel like our secondary is better than anybody we've played. Our defensive secondary, to me, skill-wise and just instinct-wise, I have more confidence in Frederica Academy's defensive secondary than I have anybody that we've played. So
we do have a good secondary, but with who we're playing this week, we're going to make them do something they don't want to do. They want to run the football, and we've got to take the run away. And I think last week we did the same thing with Pinewood. We kind of loaded the box. Even when they split three guys out, we kind of locked up man-to-man and still put 8 men in the box. And, I thought the secondary did a pretty good job. And then, like I said, that was the touchdown. Set up the first touchdowns when we about had the quarterback sack, and Jalen kind of stepped up. And then, it was the old crap play. Then he realized the guy was behind him. And the quarterback kind of just made a little bit of a move enough out of the way to get rid of it. So, they're strong back there, but we're going to have to win the line of scrimmage this week. Again, it's going to be controlled in the trenches, and we're going to have to come off the ball and control it.
Well, it seemed like as far as penalties go, we made some progress last week. I felt like, it wasn't a great deal of lack of discipline on either side of the ball.
No, it was two very disciplined football teams. One just made a couple plays than the other team. I felt like that, and that's exactly what their coach said at the end. Coach Watson come over, shook my hand, he said, "Coach, the score is not a reflection of your football team." He said, "You guys are really good." He said, "We made some plays. We made some over our head plays, and he said, you guys are going to be just fine." And it was a very clean game. I don't know if there was 5 total penalties in the whole game. I think we may have had 2. called on us, and they may have had a couple offsides penalties or illegal motion penalties they did, and that was about it. But it was a pretty clean game.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like the refs were just letting everybody just play football.
Yeah.
And so as far as this week is concerned, getting ready, what kind of things are you trying to do in order to just learn from the past and let go of all the negativity associated with that loss? I mean, I'm sure that's probably the biggest challenge you've got is to just regroup, reframe our objective, and focus on that. What kind of things are y'all trying to do as coaches and players and leaders?
Well, as coaches, we went in after the Pinewood game, and we're downloading the film, doing all that wonderful stuff. At the same time, we were critiquing it, and we were writing on the board notes, things we needed to do. It's not a go in and yell at everybody's session. It wasn't none of that. It was, hey, we got to put it behind us. We got to learn from it. We got to push forward. We got to get better. Positive. Today it's kind of funny. A practice rep goes, I can't tell if you're mad or if you're excited. And I was like, well, good. It's keeping you on the edge of your seat. It's not that we're mad at anybody. It's got a few things we got to clean up, and I think they understand the seriousness and the tone at times. But again, still dealing with kids that are 14, 18 years old. And they got a lot of stuff going on during the day, and some of the stuff we don't know what's going on outside of school or what we can't control. So there's a lot of factors that go on. I mean, with all the kids, it's a dynamic that we all deal with as coaches at the high school level. In the perfect world, you want them all to be going to bed at 9:30 and getting a lot of rest and getting up and getting good breakfast and coming in and all that stuff. But it's not always that way. So our biggest thing was just keep the kids positive and keep the psyche and let's move on and move forward. And I thought Monday was pretty sharp. Tuesday was pretty good. I just thought maybe defensively we struggled a little bit on Tuesday and today. Not bad offensively, but defensively I just didn't see that enthusiasm and emotion that I like to have with 11 guys getting to the ball. Too many people standing and watching a little bit. So, it's something we got one more day to get it corrected, and that's what we're going to work on tomorrow in practice.
Well, we will be right back on the Frederica Academy Coach Show with head coach Brandon Derrick on the Bishop Media Sports Network.
Looking to make your life more fun? Then check out GCW Carts. With top-of-the-line carts like E-Z-Go, Bad Boy, and Cushman, you can cruise the island or just around the neighborhood in style. Need to rent a cart? GCW Rental rents carts for long or short-term use, and they make it easy by delivering your cart to you and picking it up when you're finished. So remember, for brands like E-Z-Go, Bad Boy, and Cushman, visit GCW Carts in Brunswick at the corner of Cypress Mill Road and the Spur, or call 912-434-4601. Great food, snacks, and the best selection of energy drinks in the Golden Isles? Parker's. A day outdoors, coolers, suntan oil, beach chairs, ice? Parker's. Fresh fruit cups, salads, and Dippin' Dots? Parker's. Get your Pump Perks card and start saving on every gallon of gas today at Parker's. www.parkersga.com, a proud supporter of Frederica Athletics. Parker's, and let's go Knights. Looking for top quality furniture at prices that blow away the competition? Jessup Furniture Outlet. Ashley, Universal, Bassett, Lexington, and so many more. Jessup Furniture offers delivery and 12-month interest-free financing, located at 651 Scranton Road next to Old Times, or give Jessup Furniture a call, 912-267-1897. Also, find Jessup Furniture on Facebook. Jessup Furniture, your top quality furniture outlet that won't break your budget. You might not believe this fun football fact from Yates Astro Termite and Pest Control. In 1935, halfback Jay Haynes for the University of Washington scored all the points on both sides of the ball. He ran for 1 touchdown and was hit for a safety. The final score was 6-2. Yates Astro is on offense and defense in ridding your home of termites and protecting you from future invasion. Call Yates Astro. They've been protecting area homes and businesses since 1928.
Welcome back to the Frederica Academy Coaches Show with head coach Brandon Derrick on the Bishop Media Sports Network. I'm John Wetzler on location at Loco's Grill and Pub. This segment is brought to you by Parker's, Golf Cart Wholesale, Yates Astro, and by Jessup Furniture. Coach, we've been eating our wings at the break. Good wings. I've commenced to my head sweat.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, it's a good sign of good wings. Head sweat. All right. Well, Coach, we're excited about Friday night. Back home, under the Oaks. We really had, I think, just sort of viscerally, just sort of a different feel when we're at home. I mean, we played Tift, a very good team, very well at home this season. We've had good success against everybody we played this year. And talking about Bulloch, the significance of this game, I mean, we talked before about the fact that Bulloch and Pinewood were the two favorite teams in our region to make it towards the end. You know, what's the significance of this, the outcome of this game in terms of playoff consequences?
We can win this one and the next one we play at home in the first round. Not at friendly confines. As you know, we're not stellar on the road, but we're pretty good at home. So we can win these at home. We can win Bulloch at home, and then if we beat Edmund Burke on the road, it might change our on the road tradition. But we'd much rather play the first round of the playoffs at home in front of our crowd instead of going on the road somewhere. I just think that would be a big boost, not just for the football team, but the school, community, everything. To get a home playoff game and to finish, right there in the thick of it in the region, it'd probably put us as a second seed. We'd have to play, I think, Region 4's third seed. So I'm hoping that we can go and be very successful Friday night against Bulloch and pull it out. I think we got the ability. We got to get our playmakers involved offensively early on. We got to play tough defense. We got to tackle well, and special teams just got to execute. And maybe we can get a few breaks. We need some type of good luck. I got all kinds of luck. Sometimes it's not the good, but we need some good luck. And I think we can get a few breaks. We'll feel good about it and get rolling. And we got to get Hollis and Jay-Sean and Gavin and Jalen and all those guys kind of involved early offensively. And get the ball rolling and get us. I like us to be on the attack, and we've done a few things this week that we're going to try, and we're going to throw a few things out there. You might be going, oh Lord, but they put it all on the table. But this is one of them. If you win, you get that home chance to be at home in the playoffs, and we're going to go after it. It ain't going to be because we didn't try. I already told you before, I'm aggressive in a sense. You think that now, but we put in some stuff this week to be super aggressive. And if we hit all of them, we'll be really happy.
I know there's been a lot of questions just talking with fans and people that want to know. So that, and you just said this, but if we win Friday night, we still have the opportunity not only to be in the playoffs, but to have home field advantage. That was a question.
Yeah.
That was a big question I know I've heard over and over again. And so that's the significance of the local folks coming out and supporting us. How important it is to have that support and have that home field sort of 12th man.
Yeah, and I put it in my weekly email. These guys have been through a lot. We put them through a lot. Our sport's different. It takes a lot to do what they do and play football. Football's a different animal. I've played them all in my day. And football is mentally and physically probably the most draining sport of any of them.
You're thinking about it all day long, even when you're not at practice. You're thinking about the fact that you got to go to practice.
Right, and it's a physical sport. It's something you have to do year round if you're going to be good at it. You got to be in the weight room. If not, if you're losing a day in the weight room, you're losing a day to somebody. So something to do year round. You gotta physically do that. Trying to change that whole culture, that mentality. The kids are doing a good job with it. We're seeing other kids starting to see that too. And we're getting there. It's a process. It's not something that we stepped into knowing that it was all established. We knew we was going to have to establish a precedent and set a bar. and get it there. We knew we weren't going to get there overnight. We weren't going to get there in a day. There's programs around here that's been established, and they just had to step in, do a few things here and there, and tweak it, and it's been fine. This one here, we're pretty much, it's a brick by brick type thing, and we're enjoying doing it, and the kids are really starting to buy into it. And, I just want to keep it fun and keep it exciting, and we put in some stuff this week to hopefully it'll be fun and exciting.
Well, Coach, that's one thing. I've got some friends that serve in the military. One is a Navy SEAL, and one of them is an Army Ranger. And they both played college football. One with me, and another played at another Division I school. And they told me, that when they got into their training for their elite military training, that they really felt like, compared to 2 and 3 days, that it wasn't even close. And that's the good thing about football. It's really bigger than just winning and losing. It's about losing your identity as an individual in a team that has an objective, and the camaraderie that goes along with that. And I personally think that playing college football for me prepared me for everything else I've set my mind to do, because I feel like nothing I've ever done has ever been as hard as playing football, whether it was high school football or college football. And that's the thing that you try to. It's hard for these kids to understand that right now, because first of all, it's a pain. It's difficult. It is, in my opinion, and I didn't play a whole lot of other sports, at least none that I was good at. But it's hard to understand that now, the value of the investment that they're making, investment in discipline, investment in just understanding more than just going after what you want. And the reward, it lasts a lifetime.
It's a team sport. It's like I told someone today, I've got 7 or 8 playing their butt off, and 3 or 4 that's not. It always seems to find that 3 or 4 that's not. And it's a true team thing. It's like in real life. We all depend upon each other to get things done during the day. The lessons that you learn on the field carry on with you. How you persevere. How every day you wake up, you have a choice. You can either go and try to make that day better, or you can just try to let that day pass. But every day that you let that day pass, it's a day that you lost. And so, in our society, everybody wants to know, what are you going to do for me lately? Well, every day try to make yourself better, and everybody will know that what you're trying to do. Be positive. I talked to the kids about that today. Come out here every day and try to get better. Don't just try to get through it. We're only asking you to be out here for 2 hours and 30 minutes. Make yourself better. Don't try to pass the time and get through it. What are you doing to make yourself better?
I had an English teacher that told me, wasted time is never seen again.
Yeah,
and I never forgot that.
That's true.
It's whether you're talking about football or anything else.
Yeah, and I think the kids, for a high school kid at the end of the day, what are we doing? But we're teaching life lessons, and you said it earlier in the break. It's a game, and at the end of the day, it's a game. And what are they going to get out of it when they graduate? Hopefully at the end they come back and say, Coach, I'll never forget this, or I won't forget that, and it helped me get through this, or it helped me get through that. And that's what our goals are, and to make these guys quality young men and turn out great kids. And I think that's what we're doing a pretty good job of.
Well, we appreciate it as parents and fans, Coach, what everybody's doing. And we're looking forward to Friday night, and we're out of time. So thank everybody for joining us again on the Frederica Academy Coaches Show with head coach Brandon Derrick on the Bishop Media Sports Network. Come up on Wednesday nights for the rest of the season, where we'll be here at Loco's Grill and Pub at 7 o'clock for the Brandon Derrick Coaches Show. Signing off, I'm John Wetzel.